Hello and welcome everyone to this Conquest Dark beginner's guide video. If you're new to the game, jumping in for the first time, obviously we all like to just start gaming immediately and figure things out as we go, but I do suggest one of the first things you need to do is familiarize yourself with the game guide, where obviously we don't really need to pay much attention to this. We'll learn about this as we play, but more so the stats, specifically things like instant attack chance, projectile amount, projectile pierce, projectile split chance. These are all very important things to familiarize yourself with so that you can have a better understanding of how they affect certain abilities, weapons, and attack moves and so forth. That is the first tip that I can give you. I'm not going to jump into the details too much because that would make this video way too long. The next thing I can suggest you do is to attain the most important artifacts, in my opinion, in order to progress through the different tiers efficiently. And the first one I would like to highlight comes from the Barbarian faction level reward, and that is the Band of Primal Power. Your critical strikes have a 15% chance to become mega critical strikes, dealing 10 times the normal critical strike damage. That is huge. And you would have noticed while playing that you sometimes get these rune fragments that have certain added stats. And one of the stats that you will find is an increase in proc chance, and that increase in proc chance will actually affect artifacts like this. There are others too, but I'm not going to get into that now. I would suggest getting to level 10 with the Barbarians so that you can get the Band of Primal Power. It will be a massive help to your progress. The next artifact I suggest getting is the Order of I'm not going to try and pronounce that. Sehez. The Order of Sehez, which are the Hunters. And there is an artifact here called Zaladon's Ring of Rapid Strikes. Each time you primary attack, your attack speed is increased by 10%, stacking up to 10 times. If you stop primary attacking, the stacks are lost. That does happen quite fast. If you stop attacking for maybe 1 second, then you lose the stacks. So it's nicer to have once you already have a decent amount of attack speed. Otherwise you lose it quite quickly, or you can't even build it up depending on what weapon you're using. If you're using a really slow weapon and you use Zaladon's Ring of Rapid Strikes and you don't have a great base attack speed, you're not even going to do a second attack in time for this to grow in stacks. So keep that in mind. The third artifact that I really suggest everyone to work towards comes from this place right here, the Pale of Desolation. Now, the Pale of Desolation is a different game mode to what you are used to. I'm not really exactly sure when it was unlocked for me. I just randomly stumbled upon it on my map and really enjoyed it because it's a much bigger map. You've got to do a lot of roaming, and there are these elites that you need to spawn yourself by walking into this little white circle with a skeleton inside it. You need to find these as you progress through the levels, collect their essence that they drop, and you need to bring it back to the summoning circle to summon the bosses and defeat them to restart the process. And that is how you progress through the different tiers. Now, you don't have to reach level 15 all in one go. This is almost a sort of experience bar. And each time you start the Pale of Desolation, you will gain experience. So it's not one thing that you have to complete. You know, I don't have to go in one game mode all the way up to 15 to unlock this beautiful artifact, Eye of the Berserker. Your primary attacks now deal 1000% of their normal damage. This bonus is reduced by 250% for each power or passive ability you have. Additionally, your primary attacks can no longer be interrupted by enemy damage. That is so overpowered. But something to take note of is the negative The bonus is reduced by 250% for each power or passive ability you have. Now, as you play and as you start getting, for example, the Altar of Fortune, you put a whole bunch of soul fragments in here, you are going to get a bigger chance for rare items that can result in legendary gear dropping in your runs. And on legendary gear, there are passive abilities. Those passive abilities will count towards reducing your primary attack damage by 250%. So that's important to take note of so that you can maximize the amount of damage that your primary weapon is doing. This is something that works a lot better on certain classes. I'd found that there are some classes where their passive abilities and their power abilities are the ones that bring forth most of their damage, but some classes like the rogues or the thieves and the acolytes, for example, the acolytes won't benefit from it as much. The thieves, barbarians, and I'd like to say the hunters benefit from Eye of the Berserker the most. And that is it for the artifacts that I suggest you to focus. And then here we have this Obelisk of the Sun. Now, Obelisk of the Sun, let me just remove these quickly. You will unlock these as you progress through the the main first missions that you do, the rituals that you do, and also the Obelisk of the Primordials you will unlock once you progress to level 10 of the Pale of Desolation. And these increase what you receive depending on how many shards of the Black Planet, which you'll see here in the top left. Depending on how many of those you insert into these obelisks, certain things will change. Now, let's start off by looking at the Obelisk of the Moon. This is the experience obelisk. So if you're looking to rapidly increase the experience gains of certain classes in order to unlock their new races, new abilities, new artifacts, you want to be placing your shards in this obelisk, because as you see, as I place shards, at 4 shards we have 200% increase in faction experience gains and 100% increase in Shattered Dark Ritual experience gains. That's very nice. If I'm trying to increase the level of the Orders of... Why did I choose the one that I can't pronounce? The Orders of Sehes. If I would like to increase my faction experience efficiently, I'm going to go with 4 shards in the Obelisk of the Moon. Next is the Obelisk of the Sun. And for this one, you'll notice it's not the same. It's not experience gains. This time, it's a plus 75% chance to gain an extra soul coin on pickup, and a 50% chance to gain an extra corrupted soul fragment on pickup. Now, the soul coins are these silver, and I think it also includes the gold ones. So, by putting your shards of the Black Planet in here, you will get an increase in this. So if you're farming for soul coins to increase the levels of your abilities and your weapons, then obviously placing them in the Obelisk of the Sun is what you want to do. And then at the same time, you want to find the maps that have the sun and moon symbols on them respectively. And the last one we're going to look at, I'm not going to look at the Obelisk of Flesh because that happens quite late, and this is more of a beginner's guide video. But as you reach level 10 here at the Pale of Desolation, you will unlock the Obelisk of Primordials, and this, as you can see, increases your scroll drop chance. I can't... it's because I still have there. Plate shard. 100% increased scrolls drop chance. So if you have unlocked the factions and progressed through the faction levels efficiently, you've also unlocked a lot of your abilities, and you're not really focusing on anything now, but you'd like to increase your rune levels, which are here at the bottom. Then you're going to want to be placing everything in the obelisk of the primordials, because this has an 100% increased scroll drop chance. So you will get so many scrolls, and specifically in the Pale of Desolation, there's a lot of spirit caravans, there's a lot of enemies, so you will get so many scroll drop chances. I mean, look at my progress already. This is from just dumping 4 shards in the obelisk of the primordials and doing the Pale of Desolation. That is how I progress the levels through my runes so much. Another important thing to take note of are the altars. You will see Altar of Cunning, Altar of Souls, and each of these have additional stats that they apply globally to all of your characters. So every time you jump into a game mode, you are going to have an additional 8% crit chance, and you will actually see this on your character sheet once jumping in. These will be added to your stats, so choose wisely. I would suggest focusing crit hit chance, crit hit damage, as well as I really liked, and I went quite big with this, is chance for rare items, in order to progress through the game modes and receive more items, better items to help me. The other thing to consider is your, which sort of runes are you going to focus as you play. As the scrolls drop, they are going to give you a choice, starting with 3, and eventually you will unlock a 4th choice to choose from. And my suggestion is to go for runes that have the most global application. What do I mean by that? I mean runes that you'll be able to use across all characters, all abilities, that will help you exponentially. For example, if I go to Projectile Pierce and I focus this all the way to level 10, this is the first one that I focus. Every time it pops up, I choose this one. That's very nice, +5 Projectile Pierce. That means that if you have a hunter that shoots an arrow, it's going to shoot through 5 enemies before it stops, which is really nice. But how many classes can benefit from this? How many abilities can benefit from this? This is more of a late game sort of rune to apply. So I wouldn't suggest going for this first. Things that can be applied more globally are things like damage increase per life lost, or if we look here, critical hit chance, and there, of course, critical hit damage. So think about this as your scrolls drop and you need to make a choice of what level to increase. Choose the ones that are going to be able to be applied globally through a lot of different abilities, different characters, etc. And that's it for the beginner's guide video. If you enjoyed this, be sure to subscribe, as I'll be posting more tips and tricks videos, as well as different class guides, in order to help you progress through the tougher game modes more effectively. See you in the next one.